It is your boy, MadMax. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about practicing Stoicism while living with muscular dystrophy. In this video, I'm going to outline some tenets of Stoicism that I believe you should follow whether or not you're disabled or able-bodied to help you live a happy, more fulfilling life. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what it's going to take for you to do it. I think this topic is very relevant, especially living with a physical disability. I think that life is tough, and it's even tougher when you're in a wheelchair and have limited mobility. And it's definitely a philosophy that I think will help you, as it's definitely helped me. So people get Stoicism kind of wrong. It's not necessarily about being emotionless. It's not about, living tough as nails, nothing bothers you. But for the Stoics, a good life is one in which we experience a lot more joy, tranquility than anger, anxiety, and despair. And Stoics are willing to do the hard work to create that life. Having a good life is not easy. It takes constant work. And I think that's very relevant, especially living with a disability. So Stoics aren't necessarily emotionless, but they have greater control over their emotions and are not necessarily dictated by them. The way we think, the way we live, it's all a feedback loop of thoughts, actions, and emotions. So let me get right into it. The first point I want to make is focusing on what you can control. This is one of the key components of Stoicism. There are so many things we can't control. I can't control the fact that I'm disabled. There are a lot of other things I cannot control. But one thing I can control is my mind. I can control where I put my effort, where I put my time. These things are really important, especially when trying to live a happy life despite having disabilities. And this brings me to number 2, which is take action so you know the things that you can control and can't control. Unfortunately, I won't be walking anytime soon or running a marathon anytime soon. But there are things that I can do knowing that I can control my mind, that I can control my body to a certain extent. And with that, I take action, living a fulfilling life, lots of hobbies, reading, playing the saxophone, all sorts of things in order to live a more fulfilling life. And I think this is very relevant, especially when you're living with a physical disability. Take action. You'll see that things are a lot easier than you might have thought at first, and keep going. Next, my third point I want to talk about is being virtuous. So being virtuous for the Stoics, it's broken down into 4 components. The first of which is courage, which is being willing to face difficulties and obstacles. And I know for me, there are certain things that are always going to be difficult. Getting in and out of cars, for example. Going to certain places that are not necessarily wheelchair friendly. And it takes a lot of courage and willingness to go out there and face your battles despite having limited mobility and extra challenges. Number 2 is temperance, which means moderation in all areas, in all aspects. This includes our thoughts, our words, our actions, not just drinking and that sort of thing. And that's very important, living with a disability, trying to keep yourself positive and hopeful and just living a good life. You don't want to be filled around things that'll make you insecure, make you feel bad about yourself. So limit and temper the amount of that you get in your mind. Number 3 is justice, which is do what's right even if it's inconvenient or difficult. Help someone, do something that's right, stand up for someone, maybe be a spokesperson, but always do what's right even when another option might be a lot easier. And the last point in this sub-point about being virtuous is wisdom, which is knowing what's true, learning continuously, and being open-minded. So I have to be wise about my disability, knowing the things that I can and cannot do. But at the same time, I want to learn. Maybe there's a new way of moving. Maybe there's a new way of doing things, which I'm always looking for living with a disability. Things to make my life easier. And also an open mind. Being open to the possibilities. Being open to doing things you thought you might not be able to do. Just being open to new experiences, even when you think that might be difficult. My fourth point is leading by example. This is similar to my second point about taking action, but it's about doing things, not just saying things, but living, walking the walk, talking the talk, even if you can't walk. But it's about going out, being a leader, showing people that it is possible, showing people that you could live a happy, fulfilling life despite limitations, despite your disability. And the best way to do that isn't so much talking, but it's about going out there, showing people that you could find love, you could make friends, you can do all of these things, that you're not stopped by your physical limitations and disability. Number 5 is diminishing your ego or self-importance. So I don't want anyone thinking, oh, because I'm disabled, somehow I deserve special treatment. I deserve this, that, or the other. That's not to say that when you're disabled, you don't need extra help with certain areas, but it's this idea that somehow you deserve it because you're self-important, that your needs are more important than everyone else's needs. And you have to realize that other people are also going through tough things, whether it be mental health, whether it be other chronic illnesses. You just don't know. So it's important to diminish your ego, even if that is challenging and difficult at times. My 6th point, which is similar to the point about your ego and self-importance, is that you're not entitled to anything, not even your success. You could work really hard, but don't think, oh, you're entitled to this, that, or the other. Thinking that, oh, I'm entitled because I'm disabled, as I mentioned in my previous point. But the point about success is very relevant. Hopefully this YouTube channel goes somewhere, but it's not about being outcome dependent. Being outcome dependent is what really makes us sad and disappointed, and you should definitely shy away from that. Going on to my 7th point, exercise your will. Have self-control in all things, in your actions, in your words, in your thoughts. Having self-control, knowing that your will is that powerful, is a really miraculous thing. Fighting temptation, fighting all these sorts of things, you might not think it's possible. You might not think, oh, that I can't go without another drink, smoking another joint. And I've found in my experience, thinking, oh, I can't go a couple days without drinking. I can't go a couple days without video games, without Instagram. And looking back, I realized that I can do that. It was very difficult, for sure, but it's very important relaying that back to your disability, knowing that although you're not in control of your body, you're in control of your mind, you're in control of your will. You really are in control. It's just we almost convince ourselves that we're not. And that's not to say it's easy. It's really, really difficult. Let me just read you a Seneca quote really quickly. The greatest portion of peace of mind is doing nothing wrong. Those who lack self-control live disoriented and disturbed lives. I think to an extent that's true. I think that showing self-control really shows how strong we really are when we put our mind to it. And we can really do miraculous things when we put our minds to it. Whether you're able-bodied, disabled, it doesn't matter. My 8th point is practice resilience when faced with tragedies and obstacles. And I think this one is very important, especially living with a disability. Just looking back in my own life, I remember when I lost my ability to walk when I was 11 or 12, it was really, really tough. That was probably in terms of mobility and losing my ability to get up. That I would consider a tragedy, that I can't even stand up anymore. But rather than fold and cave in, I still decided to live life, decided to continue to school, go to college, have friends, do all these sorts of things. I wasn't fazed by these obstacles. And by practicing resilience, it's definitely given me the strength to continue to carry on. And this comes down to a real Stoic principle of seeing adversity for what it is and not getting your peace of mind destroyed by its arrival. Because the truth is, life is difficult whether you're disabled or not. Being disabled is an additional difficulty that you have to worry about. And so, despite that, you cannot be phased or stopped. You just have to be resilient. You have to keep going even when it's tough. And I would know difficulty just from my own life experience, living in a wheelchair and being disabled. Going on to my 9th point, which is sort of similar to the previous point, but it's about choosing your response. Are you going to respond to whatever comes your way, or are you going to react? And there's a subtle difference between the two. Respond, you almost give yourself a second to pause and think, what do I do next? Whereas reacting, it's almost innate. It's a sort of a gut response. A good way to think of reactions and responses is that we don't react to events. We react to our judgments about them, and the judgments are up to us. So going back to my point about losing my ability to walk when I was 11 or 12, I could have said, that's it. That's all I can do. I don't think I can do anything else. I don't think I can live the life that I want to live. So thinking that way would be a judgment. And rather than judging it that way, I realized this is an additional challenge, an additional hurdle, and I judged it as such. I didn't let it stop me. I realized that I can still live a happy, healthy life despite these limitations. Going on to my 10th and final point, being grateful. Be grateful for what you have. I certainly think that's relevant living with a disability. Sure, my life is super difficult when it comes to mobility, when there's stairs, when there's not accessibility, but I'm grateful for the friends I have, the family that I have, all my loved ones. I'm grateful for each day, and it's about being grateful for the small things, because life is hard enough and you really have to count your blessings. And I think counting your blessings is something that too often we don't do. We all live fast-paced lives. We all think, oh, I'm not as beautiful as this person. I'm not as strong as this person. But you really have to be grateful. Let me read you an Epictetus quote for all of you. He is wise who doesn't grieve for the things he doesn't have, but rejoices for the things he does have. And I think that is super key while living with a disability. And obviously, even when you're not living with a disability, you still have challenges in your life. You still have things that you wish you don't have to deal with, but you always have to look on the positive. You always have to look at things you can do, the people around you. You'll realize that your life is a lot more magical than you sometimes might think. Let me just read you another quote by Marcus Aurelius. Take it that you have died today, and your life story is ended, and henceforth regard that future time may be given to you as an uncovenanted surplus, and live it out in harmony with nature. And that is a super powerful quote. Just pretend that you have died and it's no more. Think of just waking up in the morning, how much of a blessing that is. I certainly count that as a blessing. And I think as homework, we should all write down in a journal every day things that we're grateful for, the little things or the big things. And I think that will really change your perspective on things. It certainly has changed my perspective on things. And it's made life a little easier, a little more fulfilling, despite having limitations. In terms of limitations, there's certain things that you can do despite those. And that's why I created Maximus Moves, with the goal of improving mind, body, and soul. Maximus Moves is a health and fitness coaching program for individuals living with physical limitations. If you're interested and want to find out more, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description below. If you also want to join my private Facebook group for other like-minded individuals who are motivated to live a happy, healthy life despite limitations, link is also in the description. Hope to see you there. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, it's your boy Max, over and out.